They look kind of alike, right? Up close, they might look a little different, but far away, y'all sisters. Yeah, okay, period. That is how you achieve a soft beat makeup look. Best friend, be myself and I, that's all I got in the end. That's what I found out, and it ain't no need to cry. I took a vow that from now on, I'm gonna be my own best friend. Got me, myself, and I know that I will never disappoint myself. Welcome back to my channel, y'all. It's your girl Mena. Today's video is actually long awaited. Y'all have been asking me for this. Y'all was about to hang me up and burn me at the stake if I did not give y'all this video, and I understand because I be giving. I get it. Today's video is going to be a soft glam makeup tutorial. Before the tutorial though, make sure y'all go ahead and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Click that little bell so you don't miss a single upload. And then go ahead and follow me on my socials so you can keep up with what I'm doing elsewhere. Sound good? Sound good? Great. So if you want to see how I achieve this look, stick around. So I always say every good beat starts off with a good base. So before you do your makeup, you're going to want to make sure, of course, you wash your face, you exfoliate to get rid of any dead skin on your face. You're also going to want to make sure you moisturize really well because you don't want your skin to be dry under your makeup. That's just going to cause problems. We don't need problems. I'm going to start off with my favorite primer. It is the Milk Makeup Pore Eclipse Mattifying Primer. I'm gonna get some on my eyes, cheeks. This is probably too much. Like I always put too much primer, but I love this primer because it doesn't leave you feeling dry, but like it's also great for oily skin because it mattifies you. Also, I'm gonna use my primer that has a little bit of salicylic acid in it just because I am acne prone, so this helps prevent breakouts while the makeup is on my face. Primarily, I just put it on my cheeks. If you have any scarring or breakouts, you're going to want to color correct them. So because I am brown and my acne scars are always deep dark brown, I'm going to be using an orange color corrector to cancel out that color. I'm gonna get a little bit out. I'm just gonna put that on the scars that I have. You don't need a lot because you don't want your makeup to be orange. You just basically want to help your foundation out because foundation is going to cover anyway, but you need something to cancel out that black color of the acne scar. You can use a brush for this, but I'm going to use a beauty blender. And I'm just going to basically blend out all of the orange. I'm not fully blending it out. I'm kind of just tapping it. And all of the products that I use throughout this entire tutorial will be in my bio, but feel free to comment if you do have any questions or you're confused by anything. Next, I'm going to get my foundation. I use shade Glam. This is the NARS Naturally Radiant Foundation. I like it because it always gives a skin-like finish. I like to start with my eyes because my eyes are big and slightly hooded, so they crease very easily. If that is you, I always say start with your eyes and set your eyes before you do the rest of your makeup. Helps prevent creasing. The setting powder I use is Laura Mercier's Translucent Medium Deep. I also use the translucent, like the lighter shade, but I use that for brightening. But for all over my face, like my skin color, it's gonna be Translucent Medium Deep. We're gonna get a little foundation on our eyelids. This is also where I conceal my brows. I'm gonna grab like a flat brush. I'm gonna carve out the shape of my brow. And then I'm gonna grab a beauty blender and start blending this out. This is also where I'm going to add concealer under my brows just for a little brightening. I'm gonna place it and then I'll blend it out. This is like where you're going to want to make sure your brows are even before you get to the process where you're filling them in. So I tend to spend a little bit of time at this step. Once I'm satisfied, I like to take a different beauty blender. This is the one I use for my concealer, and I just blend that out. Then, if you have any creasing on your eyelid, you're just gonna press back out that foundation. You don't need to really add any more. And now we're gonna set. I'm gonna bring out my Laura Mercier Translucent powder. Same thing on this side. And then we're gonna set our lids with Translucent Medium Deep. People tend to think it's weird to use two different shades of setting powder on your face. They say just use like a fully translucent setting powder, but I haven't found one that one is very translucent and doesn't leave a white cast, and two, that doesn't have a yellow undertone. Because my undertones are more so red and if anything maybe peachy, but definitely on the cooler side. And most setting powders are very yellow, especially the translucent ones. So yeah, I like to just use my two setting powders and I just say do whatever works for you. With the same brush that I'm using for my translucent medium deep setting powder, I'm going to go over and blend out that translucent shade that I put under my brow. I just think this helps give it like a seamless blending. That way it doesn't look too different. It's like a nice little gradient. So now that our eyes are set and out of the way, we don't have to worry about our lids creasing. So now I'm going to put foundation, maybe about like 2.5 pumps on my cheeks. Brushes tend to give more full coverage. So I like to use a brush over my cheeks, which is where most of my acne scars are. Same thing on my forehead. And anywhere where you have any discoloration or scarring, just anything that you're looking to cover that with a brush first. Especially if you're a beauty blender girl or a beauty blender person, cover the areas that you want fully covered with the brush first. So once I've done that, now I'm gonna get my beauty blender and blend it out. I'm not going too far under the eyes because I have some other products that I'm gonna use under, and I don't want my under eye to get cakey. Blend into the sides of your face. Now I'm gonna blend out my forehead. I don't like to put too much foundation on my forehead. I think it makes it look weird. My forehead is like the darkest part of my face. So especially when I'm wearing wigs, I don't really put too much foundation on my forehead. I'm gonna like just put a little bit, and then I like to go over with bronzer. I just think it looks a little bit more natural. So once we're nice and blended out, for contour, I actually like to use concealer because I just feel like it blends out a little bit better and it has a wider shade range. Oftentimes when you just go strictly for a bronzer or for a contour, they have like a very strict shade range where they don't have as broad of a shade range as like foundations and concealers do. So I like to use concealers for my contour. So I'm going to go in with Fenty Beauty's Pro Filter Instant Retouch Concealer. I'm going to be using shade 480. I'm just going to follow the natural contour of my cheek. When you're applying your makeup products, always apply them in an upward motion. Helps lift and snatch your face. I'm gonna grab my Real Techniques makeup brush. This is brush 438, Precision Contour Brush. So I like to use the end of it just to start to blend out my contour. And then I like to use the top of it to finish up and just push the product upwards into my skin. Always make sure you blend out the seams. So that's the start of my contour. Now I'm gonna place my bronzer. I like to use the Real Techniques sculpting brush. Brush number 401. I like it because it has like an angled brush head, but it's also dense, so it's great for bronzer. I'm gonna get a little bit of bronzer product on my brush. And again, we're gonna go in an upward motion. I like to pat it on first to place it and then blend it out. I see the snatching happening already. So I always say just start with a little and then build up from there. You don't want to have too much on your face because then your face starts to look a little muddy. But yeah, I can see the definition coming back to my face. Now we're going to do this side and then we'll balance them out. I like to put some bronzer on my forehead. Yeah, like now I just feel like there's more life in my face. I feel like bronzer, you know, it adds your warmth, it adds your life. So now we're going to contour our nose. I'm going to use bronzer and a small flat brush. So this brush is a smudge liner brush by Real Technique, brush number 317. I'm gonna get a little bit on my brush. I like to bring my nose contour in a little bit just to really emphasize the bridge. And then I bring it all the way down to the tip of my nose. And then I'm going to grab the same brush that I used to contour my cheekbones and put a little contour under the tip of my nose. I'm going to blend out those lines that I created with a different beauty blender. And then I like to take my beauty blender that had a little concealer on it and slim out that contour on the side of my nose because I don't want my nose to look dark. So now your nose should be nice and contoured. I'm going to smooth back up my concealer if I got any creases, big eye problems. One method that I always use when I do my makeup is anything that I use a cream or liquid version of, whether that be foundation, bronzer, contour, or concealer. Any liquid product you put on your face, you want to set with the powder version of that product to keep it in place. So I usually don't use setting powder all over my face because then it makes everything look flat and uniform, and that completely defeats the purpose of what you just spent all that time contouring and lifting and concealing for. Before I set my face, I'm going to use a cream blush and just place that on the apple of my cheeks and bring that up to the temple bone of the face. And like if you're worried about blending your blush shade into the rest of your makeup, then just use a liquid blush and then use like a regular setting powder on top to dull it out. I happen to like a lot of blush though, so the brush that I'm using for my blush is called the Soft Accent Brush by Real Techniques. It is brush number 421. And I also like to put a little bit of blush on the tip of my nose. Now we're going to set everything. This is where the difference in setting powders matters for my routine. I'm going to use my light setting powder for the parts of my face that I want to be brighter, so anywhere where I put concealer, and then my darker medium deep translucent setting powder, I'm going to put that on the parts where I put like foundation. My contour and my bronzer I'm going to set with a powder bronzer by NARS. My blush, I'm going to set that with a powder blush by NARS as well. So I set every cream or liquid product with the powder version of that product, just to keep like all of the contours and work that I put into my face. Before I set my face, I like to spray it with a little setting spray. So I'm going to use Morphe's Continuous Setting Mist. I like this setting spray because it's a fine mist. Once that dries down just a little bit, I'm going to take my setting powder. I'm going to my translucent shade first and press this into my under eyes. Bring that onto my nose and bring it up. Thing that I forgot to do, which is I like to take my concealer shade and just go under my contour and just make like a soft line just to define where my cheekbone is. Same thing on this side. And I just like to use the residual makeup that's left on the beauty blender because you don't need a lot. You don't want to look crazy. Buff it out, buff it out. And then you could take that beauty blender that has your foundation on it and go in at the seam and go over it too. I think it just makes it look a little bit more natural. I'm gonna go back to setting. I'm gonna work with the product that we have on here already. I like to set first and bake after because you don't want to unevenly set any part of your face. Now that my face looks completely snatched, I'm going to bake my under eye. Just press that same powder, just a little bit though, into the crease of my eyes. And now I'm gonna set the rest of my concealers under my nose, around my nose, my chin, in between my brows, and a little bit above that. And then now we're going to set our nose. So I'm going to get another like flat small brush. This is called the Wide Angled Brow Brush, but I just like it because of the size and because of how flat it is. Brush number 600. I'm just gonna basically dip it into my translucent powder and run that down the bridge of my nose. Then I'm going to grab my contour shade and set my nose contour. Then I'm going to take the shade Translucent Medium Deep and set the rest of my nose. Then I'm going to take my powder contour again, use the same brush that I used for my contour, and set the bottom of my nose just to reinforce that contour that we put there in the first place. And then now I'm going to set my contour with the same brush. We're still working our products upwards. And as you can see, I'm trying not to touch my blush because I'm going to set that with a powder blush. I'm going to set the other parts of my face. I'm going to take my translucent and set under my contour. Okay, now we're going to finish setting the rest of the face. Now I'm going to brush out my bake. She's done her job. I'm gonna brush off the setting powder on my nose. And I'm going to go over the bridge of my nose with the same Translucent Medium Deep setting powder just to buff those lines out even more. All right, and then I'm going to apply my powder blush on top. A little bit on my nose. I like to leave my nose bake on for a little bit longer just because I do have oily combination skin. But I'm also going to bake around my nose because that is where my foundation can break as well. And I'm just going to put a little bit of powder under my eyes to sit while I finish the rest of my face. And I'm going to put back powder underneath my cheekbones. Next, we're gonna start working on our lashes and our eyebrows. And I say lashes and eyebrows because I do them both at the same time. I'm going to be using my favorite lashes. I don't know the brand. I get them from the beauty supply store, but they're basically just wispy, short cat eyelashes. Whenever I'm filming, I'm probably wearing these. I'm gonna grab a pair of tweezers and gently remove the lashes from the case. I like to apply lash glue, and while I'm waiting for the lash glue to get tacky on my lashes, that's when I do my eyebrows. And then I'm also going to put some mascara on because my lashes are short and curly and they will get in the way of my lashes when I'm trying to apply them. Yeah, I have short little baby lashes, and I think it's just generally because like I'm just not a very hairy person in general. I've never had a lot of hair in my head. You know, I don't really grow hair on my legs that much. Yeah, I've always had like really thin eyebrows. So yeah, lashes, same thing. Like I have super short curly lashes and that's what I got. So that's what I'm gonna work with. But I am always trying to grow my lashes. So if y'all have any recommendations for any really good lash growth serums, please drop them in the comments down below. So for my brows, I like to use a combination of a pencil and a pomade. I pretty much use NYX products for my brows, and I'm going to start off with the NYX brow pencil, and I use this in shade black. So first I'm gonna go in and outline the shape of my brows. I like to start off by stenciling my brows and then going in with the pomade because I feel like this is a more controlled way of achieving a really nice brow. Same thing on this side. I also like to create fine hair-like strokes at the front of my brow. And then once I'm done with that, I always take my spoolie and just soften everything that I did. You really want that gradient effect. So once I've done that, I'm going to take my pomade, and this is Dip Shape Go by NYX. It's a long wear brow pomade. Looks like this. I also use this in shade black. I'm just gonna get a little bit of pomade. And I only use this at the back of my brow. So I don't touch the front of my brows with pomade because I don't want it to look too blocky. And that's why I create the tail with my pencil, because it's kind of hard to get a sharp line with a brush like this. Gentler strokes toward the front of the brow because you really want to emphasize that ombre. So this is what it should look like. We're gonna do the same thing on this side. And boom, same thing here. Pretty much the same. I would always say aim for sisters, not twins. You can spend so much time trying to get one brow to look like the other that you end up messing it up entirely, and now it looks nothing like the other one. They look kind of alike, right? Especially from far away. Up close they might look a little different, but far away, y'all sisters. Yeah, okay, period. Okay, so by the time you're done doing your brows, at least for me, your lashes should be nice and tacky, meaning that the glue should now kind of be clear and not really light blue anymore. I like to place and wiggle just to make sure it stays stuck where I have it. And then now I make my adjustments. So first I start with the inner corner of the eye, just because it's kind of like the most important. You want your lashes to be nice and comfortable. So this is the place that you should focus on first, and then everything else after. Once you're happy with that, you can move on to the outer corner. Also, as your lash is drying, you want to start working it into the position that you want it in. So I like my lashes to be flatter at the inner corner and more fanned out at the outer corner because I like a cat eye kind of look. What you see me doing here is I'm just pressing the lashes up into the position that I want them to dry in. We're gonna do the same thing on this eye. Same thing, just shaping the lash the way I want it to dry. See, and boom, now your lashes are on and your brows are done. Gotta multitask. So now we are going to dust off all of our setting powder. Now I'm going to take a clean brush and put a little residual translucent medium deep setting powder and go over this line just to make sure that blends in just a little bit more. See, this side I haven't done yet, this side I have. Same thing here. And then I'm also going to use this brush, the little setting powder, and go over my entire face just to make sure everything blends seamlessly. Get our nose, our forehead, and boom. So now that we look airbrushed, I'm going to bring back out my blush because I just want a little bit more, you know? I love blush. Just give ourselves like a nice rosy cheek over my nose. And you always want to place your blush a little bit above the apple of your cheek and above your bronzer. They should overlap a little bit. That helps to ensure blending as well. Now I am going to put on highlighter. I'm going to take a little skinny brush like this, the fine liner brush, and it is brush number 311 by Real Technique. And I'm not going to use this for a liner. I'm actually going to use this to put a little highlighter underneath my brow just because I like the precision. It's the subtle details, okay? Once you've placed it, you can buff it out with another clean small brush. I like to use the smudge brush, and it is brush number 332 by Real Techniques. Now for the face, for your cheekbones, I like to use brush number 420, the Real Techniques Spotlight Fan Brush. I like it because the bristles are very thin and sparse, so it gives like a natural highlight instead of just like dumping it on your cheekbones, because that doesn't look good. You want it to look like natural and effortless. So I'm just gonna take a little bit on my brush, just dust it, literally just a little. And I'm using shade Raise the Bar by Makeup Revolution. Gorgeous. And I'm just going to gently fan it onto my cheeks. I'm gonna do the same thing on this side. And I think it's best if you want bright highlighter, don't just go all in. I think you should build it. Again, makes it look more natural. This is the only highlighter I use. So every single video you see me in, if my highlighter is beaming, it's this. Cheekbones are done. Now I'm going to use another small brush. It is the Definer brush, number 313 by Real Techniques. So y'all can see all my brushes are Real Techniques. Love them. I'm gonna get a little bit on my brush and go in for a nose highlight. Okay, and then I like to blend it out with my fingers. And then I get the tip of my nose as well with the edge of the brush. I just do like a little circular dot and then I blend that out as well. So now we are nearing the end of our makeup routine. I'm just gonna clean the foundation off of my lips. Once your lips are all nice and clean, I am going to grab 2 lip pencils. I get these from the beauty supply store. They're like $1. I don't know if I have a link for y'all, but if I do, I will put it in the bio. Eyeliners tend to be a little bit softer, and so they blend easier. And sometimes they have more of a shade range than lip liners do, especially for my brown girls. Like, y'all know, it is so hard to find a good lip liner. So this is a deep brown. I like to use this to shape my lips and like make them kind of stand out. And then I use the NYX Line Loud lip pencil in shade Total Baller. This is a more natural brown, closer to like the color of my skin. I like to use the end of the eyeliner brush as like a smudger to kind of like smudge the liner and blend it a little bit. We don't like harsh lines. Giving that brown girl top lip, okay? You know our top lip is darker than our bottom lip. Cute! Like a little brat doll. Rub my lips together. Use my little smudger. And then I'm gonna go in with some lip gloss. I am going to be using Morphe's liquid lip glosses. Looks like this. This is my favorite lip gloss. And I'm using it in shade Venus. I just feel like Venus is like a really nice natural pink on me. So now I like to add back in any beauty marks I have, and I like to cover basically like where my acne scars are with like just a little bit of black eyeliner just to create like, you know, more beauty marks. I think they're cute. I'm going to be using Maybelline's Tattoo Studio Liquid Liner to achieve this, obviously in shade Jet Black. Lastly, I'm going to go in with mascara for my bottom lashes. Same thing on this side. So now I'm just going to spray on some setting spray, and that's about it. So I'm going to use 2 setting sprays. First one is, again, Morphe's Continuous Setting Mist. And the second is the Matte Finish by NYX. First I go in with Morphe. And I like to quickly dry it by using a little mini fan. That way it doesn't disrupt any of my makeup. And now I'm gonna go in with NYX. I just feel like my makeup lasts longer using both of these setting sprays. So yeah, and they're both pretty inexpensive. And we are done. Yeah, that's everything. That's the tutorial. That is how you achieve a soft beat makeup look. I hope this was helpful for y'all. I hope y'all learned something. I hope y'all liked the look. You definitely stuck around to the end, so clearly you do. Go ahead and leave me a like, leave me some comments. If you have any questions about any of the products I used or any of the methods that I used, feel free to leave me a comment down below as well. And yeah, that's all I got for y'all. Go ahead and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Follow me on my socials. And I will see y'all next time. As always, it's your girl, Mena. Have a good day. I'm gonna be my own best friend. I be myself. I know that I will never